Hey guys, Miss R here. Sorry I couldn't be with you today, but I'm sure you're just loving the fact that I'm making you this video. Today I wanted you to work on this little worksheet, but I was hoping to explain it to you, or actually do the first couple of exercises together so that you can get the hang of it, and then you can finish the rest in class, as well as complete the questions at the end of the worksheet. And this should be done by the end of the class. It should not be for homework. So there's plenty of time for you to finish this in class. So the purpose of this activity is for you to practice protein synthesis. And the way you're going to do that is by uncoding, so looking at DNA code and determining what trait is that code responsible for. What do I mean by that? I'm going to skip over some pages here and go straight to the page, this one right here. So you should be following along. You'll remember that our chromosomes, so if this is a pair of our chromosomes, okay, this is one pair of our chromosomes, and remember that the chromosome is separated into genes, okay? And you need to remember that within that gene, there is a DNA sequence which is responsible for a particular trait. So we have chromosomes that are separated into genes, and within that gene is DNA, a DNA sequence that is responsible for a particular trait. So the exercise that you're going to complete today is you're going to determine what 6 traits this organism, this mystery organism has based on the DNA code. So if you look here, this organism has 6 genes, okay? Now, we have thousands of genes, but for the purpose of this exercise, this particular organism has 6 genes which are responsible for 6 traits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you're going to look at each DNA code and uncode it. So if we look at the DNA code here, this first one, you'll see that it says ACC, let me change colors, ACC, GGT, TAT. So you're going to look at the mRNA code. When the mRNA is going to go in and make a copy of that DNA strand, what will the code be? So if on DNA it's ACC, the mRNA code should be, this is where I would pause and ask you, but think about it. If it's ACC, mRNA code would be UGG. If it's GGT on the DNA, it'll be CCA on the mRNA. And if it's TAT on the DNA, it'll be AUA on the mRNA. Now, when the transfer RNA comes in to attach the amino acid, it has like it's referred to as the anticodon or the anticode or the opposite code. So tRNA would essentially have the opposite code of the mRNA. So then, and it actually ends up being the original DNA code. So UGG would be ACC, CCA would be GGU, because remember we're talking about RNA. On RNA, there's no such thing as thymine. It's replaced by uracil. AUA would end up being UAU. Now, based on this code here, you're going to determine the amino acid sequence. And how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to go back to your previous page, and these, do not need to know these by heart. Okay, if ever I would give you such a question on a test or an exam, you would have this chart, but you're going to use this chart to find the amino acid. So let's go back for a second. So our first code is ACC. So let's go back and let's look for ACC. So ACC is right here, and it's threonine. So go back again. So our first amino acid in our sequence is threonine, Okay, well, you're going to write it smaller. I'm having a hard time writing it smaller here, but GGU is our next one. So we go back. So GGU is right here, and it's glycine. So go back again. You'll put in glycine here. So glycine. And then you'll do the last one. And then these 3 amino acids, whatever the third one is, these 3 amino acids from these 3 codes will correspond to a trait. And again, you're going to use the table on the previous page. So here we go. Threonine, glycine, tyrosine is responsible for the trait where this organism walks upright on 2 legs. So you'll go back, and here in this space here, you'll write walks upright, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so again, I'm repeating myself. Every gene for this particular organism is responsible for a particular trait. You use the DNA code, then the mRNA code, then the tRNA code to figure out the amino acid sequence. Once you do that, you can go back and figure out which trait the amino acid sequence is responsible for. This is kind of how it works with us. Of course, this is much more simplified. The only thing I will tell you is that please be careful, because you know, a lot of times you're like, GGU, oh, I think I found it. If you can't find the right amino acid sequence, it's probably because you did something wrong within the code here. Okay, so you need to double check your codes. You can check them with a classmate. Although this is individual work, you can briefly talk about it with classmates just to clear things up. Once you're done, so once you figured out all 6 traits, you're going to start doing the questions. Okay, use the introduction of this activity. So they use the introduction of the worksheet to help you answer the questions. Okay, transcription. So if everybody goes to the questions right now, transcription is basically just the part of protein synthesis where mRNA makes the copy of DNA. Okay, that's transcription. Translation is the part of protein synthesis where transfer RNA or the ribosome reads the message and transfer RNA brings in the amino acids. Okay, this is in your introduction, so you can reread it. You can do number 2, you can do number 3. Number 4, you can use my notes for number 4. Okay, you need to know the steps of protein synthesis even for your test for your quiz on Thursday. And remember, you have a quiz on Thursday. Do not do number 5. Do not do number 6. Do not do number 7. Okay? Now, number 8 and 9 are quite similar. They talk about mutations. And this is where I want you to think about what the DNA code means and what happens if that code gets messed up somehow. Okay? And these numbers 8 and 9 talk about 3 different types of mutations. Okay? 3 types of mutations. We haven't talked about them, but this is kind of a nice introduction. So substitution, addition, deletion are 3 types of mutations that can occur on DNA. And I want you to think about what happens to an organism if that DNA sequence is messed up somehow. Okay? That's basically it. You can do number 10. Number 10 is nice and easy. Remember, this is not homework. You have more than enough time to complete this in class, and I expect you to finish it and hand it in to the substitute. Once you are finished, she or he will hand out another practice worksheet on Punnett squares, which you can do, and he or she will let you know what your homework is, and your homework will already be on Moodle for you to look at. Okay? So have a good class, behave, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow.